Another crazy progressive DA is in hot water. We've been flirting with his name this entire segment. Hopefully soon he will be out of a job. LA DA George Gascon. He's now almost certain to face recall. His critics have submitted over 700,000 signatures. That's nearly 200,000 more than they needed. Gascon, like Alvin Bragg in Manhattan and the recently recalled San Francisco former DA, as Gary pointed out, Chesa Boudin, they've all come under fire for their soft on-crime policies. And the stats don't lie. Since Gascon took office, shootings are up almost 55%. Leading to an increase in homicides, 29%, and robbery. Oh, it's only up 17%. That's fun. LA's deputy DA says the recall effort has nothing to do with politics and only public safety. Watch.
Well, I'm a Democrat, and many of the individuals who support this recall are Democrats. The crime rate has skyrocketed under George Gascon. Innocent individuals are being killed. Many of these individuals are people of color. Children are being hurt. We have a large amount of smash and grab burglaries. We have a large amount of follow home robberies. People are scared. They're concerned for their safety.
So are some of these cities waking up to their own failures? It's one of the things I love about California, Gary, is the recall mechanism. And George Gascon's like, this is just putting your thumb in the eye of the democratic process. This is purely politics. Is it just politics?
No. And one of the other things that Gascon will point out, in his mind, this is a Republican-driven recall campaign. John Hatami's a great example. John McKinney, Eric Siddall, Michelle Hannessy, all of these deputy DAs that work for this guy will tell you this is not a political thing. This is not driven by Republicans. This cuts across all political divisions. This cuts across all neighborhoods in LA County. Half of the cities have voted no confidence in the district attorney to do his job. Half of the cities. Now, LA is a pretty liberal area, and the suggestion that maybe half of the cities are Republican-driven city councils that would vote like this, it's absolute insanity. Every one of those people that John Hatami talks about in terms of the people that he prosecutes and the families of the victims that he sticks up for, they are the ones who are driving this recall campaign. There are people out there who have lost the loved ones to people let out of prison because of George Gascon's policies. You mentioned the 200,000 more than is necessary in terms of the number of signatures they turned in. Almost all of those extra signatures came in after 2 El Monte police officers lost their lives to a guy who was out on parole who should not have been, who should have been in jail for a very long time. But because of the policies that George Gascon, he even had the audacity to say that this guy, a convicted felon already, when he was caught with a gun, that does not portend violence in his future. He actually said that if I got caught with a gun driving home today, I would be put in jail for a long time.
Well, your rap sheet is longer than a CVS receipt.
It's as long as my own leg.
That's, you know what, the pants hide the deformity. It's very impressive. So do you think the recall is going to be successful? And if you have the 2 DAs from the 2 biggest cities in California, what message does that send to not only the rest of the state, but other states and other cities who have the same kind of problems?
One, yes, I do think it's going to be successful. I can't go grocery shopping without being bombarded outside of the Ralphs with like a guy with a clipboard saying, can we recall this guy? And there's a line of people signing the petition. Like, I've seen it in real life be successful. Number 2, I basically just moved here like a month ago. My boyfriend's a criminal defense lawyer. I've heard a lot of the crazy cases that he has to deal with, and it's no joke. I mean, living here feels like it's kind of like Gotham City at this point. It's a little bit scary. I'm all for the recall. And the message that will send is that even Democrats, moderates, and independents are rejecting this progressive, kind of far left, easy on crime policies and messaging. I mean, this is what happens when you basically govern a city on diversity and inclusion instead of law and order, in my opinion.
All right, so you are a Democrat.
Yep.
Are your fellow Democrats fed up with a sense of lawlessness and lack of safety that we once took for granted as Californians?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I'm one of the people that supports the recall. I'm a Democrat. But, you know, not every Democrat like myself is a, you know, far left-leaning progressive. There are many like myself that are moderates, we're centrist, and we have common sense. And there are just some common sense policies in law. I'm very conservative when it comes to crime, and so are a lot of my fellow Democrats. And what Gascon has done, to your point, is, you know, taken this out of the political arena and, to me, just put it in the arena of common sense. However, there were petitions going around the day after he was elected and hadn't yet done anything from Republicans. So
maybe,
it started with the political motivation and common sense took
But
over
maybe it's
later.
not just political motivation. Maybe they had the foresight because they want to save their city before it goes swirling down the toilet. You know, it's like hats off to them. They have the right to do that. And I love that you're so conservative, Leslie.
I'm not.
I know that,
Don't say it. Come on.
I know that you were cheering when Roe v. Wade was overturned.
For me now.
I thought that was so odd. You're like, end abortion now. And I'm like, Leslie.
I never said that. When did I
so
say
weird.
When did I- You guys are smoking crack because I never said that.
Well, yes,
I
Leslie
never
would
said that.
throw us in the hotel, in the jail, in the hoosegow forever for smoking crack.
Oh,
Used to be.
No.
In the good old days.
No.
You know, it's like we replaced our Senka with that.